All right, Matt Cabrera wants to know about the playing status of Ellis McCarthy. Matt, Ellis didn't do a whole lot in spring. He was still recovering from the surgery that he had postseason on his knee, but he made a lot of progress. He worked on the side with Coach Alosi every day. He worked hard in the weight room. He got his running form back. He got his weight down a little bit, and he's looking really good right now. And so we're expecting some really big things from him next year. He's got to come in and do a good job in our summer camp. But you know, when Ellis is on the field, he's a powerful guy, and he can be an impact player. So we've just got to keep him on the field, keep him healthy, keep him getting better. But he's motivated to do so. So we're excited about having Ellis back at full strength next year. Thanks for the question. All right, Alex Pacheco wants to know what the injury update on Damian Thigpen is. Well, Alex, Damian had a procedure about 2 weeks ago. They went in and they removed some scar tissue from his knee. He was not having the greatest range of motion, and one of the biggest points to recovery from that injury is just increasing the range of motion, decreasing the swelling. And so they went in, they did a procedure. It was successful. It's not the type of procedure that sets you back at all. It actually helps you get better a little bit quicker. And right now, things are looking positive. I can't say that he'll be ready for the start of the season, but we're hopeful that at some point early in the season, Damian feels confident to come back and help our football team. Good question. Chuck Forbes has a uniform question. He wants to know if the Bruins will wear the 1967 throwback uniforms this year. He says he loves those uniforms. I like them too. As a matter of fact, we were in the equipment room yesterday, and Gary Beeben's jersey is hung up in there, the retired number 16, and it's pretty sweet looking. That's not in the plans this year. We have another alternate uniform this year that we're going to wear, but I'm sure here in the next couple of years we'll get back to that throwback look with the Gary Beeben era jersey. It's really a classic UCLA look, and we always want to honor the past as we move forward. So you'll see it again, but I'm sorry, not this year. Freddie Cantorero wants to know about Malcolm Jones and wants to know if he has a legitimate shot to play this year, and why has he been so underutilized to this point. I think Malcolm does have a chance to play, but that's up to Malcolm. You know, Malcolm's got to have a great summer. He's got to come in the fall and compete his tail off, and he's got to prove to us and his teammates and everybody else that he's the best back, that he's the best option to carry the ball. I can't speak to why Malcolm was underutilized. I really haven't had a chance to coach him. You know, he was not on our team last year, so I don't know the answer to that question. All I know is that if he can come out and he can be the type of runner that we think he's capable of, then he can certainly help this football team, and that's what we're looking for him to do. Michael Rojas wants to know about our defense. He wants to know what kind of defense can we expect this year. Michael, you know, we want to always be known as an aggressive, good tackling, fundamentally sound, hard-nosed, physical defense. You know, what we stress and what we emphasize with our players is getting after the quarterback and taking the football away. What we don't stress necessarily is yards. We think points and takeaways and sacks, those are the critical variables defensively to winning football games. So those are the things we'll continue to emphasize. But for us, it's always going to come back to being fundamentally sound and playing with just uncommon effort. You know, something that jumps off the screen when you're watching it on TV, or if you're sitting in the Rose Bowl watching one of our games, you notice it. You say, my goodness, those guys play hard. That's what we're after. And we think we can get that where our fans are sitting there at home or in the Rose Bowl saying, man, our defense plays hard. Man, they get after that quarterback. Man, they go after the football. Man, they're aggressive. That's when we know we're getting where we want to be. All right, David Madrid, he asks a good question I've given a lot of thought. He wants to know if I prefer to play ranked or unranked teams during preseason. I think by preseason you mean before we get into Pac-12 play. That's a great question. And you know, with the playoff system that's going to be in effect, and how they pick the 4 teams that go into the playoff system, there'd be a tendency maybe at times to pad your schedule, your non-conference schedule, with some teams that you're pretty certain you're going to beat. You know, from a physical standpoint, you're better than. But I like to compete, You know, I want to play the best. I want to play Alabama. I want to play LSU. I want to play Florida. I want to play Ohio State. I want to play USC. I want to play Penn State. I want to play those teams that are perennial powers in the United States of America, because I think the way you find out about yourself is to test yourself against the best. So I'm still conflicted on that. So I want us to have a chance to play for a national championship. And what I see some teams around the country doing is, you know, playing some teams that there's a really, really high likelihood they're going to beat. But I think you miss out on an opportunity to really test yourself when you do that. So I got to give it more thought, but those are my thoughts on it at this point. Okay, DJ Lil Joy wants to know about Priest Willis and asks if Priest will convert to strong safety or linebacker sometime in his career. Right now, we think Priest Willis is an outstanding corner. He's big, he's physical, he's fast, he's strong, he can play the ball in the air, he plays with a lot of confidence. So we see him as a cornerback. Body's going to take them. You know, Priest could end up being a 6'3", 230-pound guy, although I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. And if that is the case, then maybe he transitions to another position. But I think what I've seen out of Priest Willis is a guy that can be a great cornerback, along the lines of some of the, you know, the best that have played the game. Now, I know that's some heavy expectations, but at his age and with his skill set, I think that this kid can be really special as a corner. So our immediate intentions are to leave him at corner. Okay, John Cavallari, or at Joe Cavelli, wants to know why specifically did you choose to run Noles' offense, and what do you see as its pros and cons versus other offenses? Well, when I got the job and I was getting ready to interview for the job and going through the process of researching coaches that maybe I would love to have on my staff, I looked at some of the NCAA rankings to get a feel for, you know, who was doing good things statistically. And then I looked at film, and you know, having a defensive background, you can recognize offenses that are causing problems for the defense, problems that are hard to solve. And when I watched Noles' offense, specifically at Arizona State, I saw an offense that was difficult to defend. He spread the field. There was multiple options on every play, whether it be a run play or a pass play or the combination of both. I saw a coordinator that took advantage of the skill sets of his players. He didn't try to force them to be something that they weren't. And I think great coaches do that. They adapt. I saw Noel as a guy that could adapt. And he has not disappointed, that's for sure. I mean, I think he's a tremendous coach. I love our system. I love the versatility of it. I love the flexibility of it. I think it'll change all the time, depending on what players we have here. And I'm excited to see it grow. Matt at Matt Wiles 26, Matt Wiles 26 says, I was impressed with the strength improvement last year. Have you seen the same improvement this offseason, and who the most? I have. Our players have worked very hard this offseason, and they're in the second year, a lot of these guys, with Coach Alosi, so they understand our program, they understand our system, our expectations, and yeah, we've become a more physical team. We've become a stronger team, a bigger team, a more flexible team, a faster team. I don't think that I could pinpoint one player that I've seen the most improvement out of, but I know that we have three young men, Anthony Barr, Brett Hundley, and Eric Kendricks, who reached all 10 of their off-season goals. We had many that reached 9, many that reached 8. We only had 3 that reached all 10, and it was those 3. And it's really neat to see 3 of your big-time leaders, 3 of your best players, also be some of your hardest workers. So I think that bodes well for our whole team going forward. Okay, Coach Aaron Gideon, and it's at Gideon Aaron, wants to know why we place such a strong emphasis on special teams. Well, Coach, quite simply, it's 1/3 of the game, and every kicking play involves huge chunks of yardage, big-time chunks of yardage. And so we feel like if we can gain an advantage in that area, then it's going to help us as a football team. If we can be a team that is a good return team in kickoff return and punt return, we make the field shorter for our defense. If we're a team that can get down and cover and keep people inside the 20 on kickoffs, or pin them down there tight on punts and make it 1st and 80 or 1st and 90, then that's going to be an advantage to our football team. So we put a tremendous amount of emphasis on it, spend probably as much time as any team in the country on special teams, and we'll continue to do so because we think it can give us a winning edge. All right, Coaster Freak, and it's at Coaster Freak, wants to know what are some of the best things you like about living in LA this past year. Well, I like a lot about living in LA. I love the weather. I love the ocean. I love coming to this UCLA campus, which is a beautiful campus and an amazing setting. I like the fact that my mom and dad are an hour and a half away, and so they can get over and they can see their grandkids, and I can spend time with them. It's just a great place to be. You know, I was born here. Most of my family lives here, so I kind of feel like I've, in some sense, come home again. But good question. All right, Who Rider at Who Rider 32 wants to know, will the offense have multiple sets this year? Yes, it will. Our offense always has multiple sets. We use multiple personnel groupings, multiple formations, multiple motions and shifts, and we'll continue to do that. We're always looking to try to gain a leverage advantage on the defense. We're always looking to try to expose a weakness. We're always looking to try to identify a coverage pre-snap. And so that's why you use multiple personnel groups and multiple formations and multiple motions and multiple shifts, so that you can give yourself a little bit of a hint pre-snap what the defense is planning to do, and we'll continue to do that this year.